Did Kenny Pickett just answer the question that everybody's been wanting to know? Is Matt Canada being fired, or will he be staying with Pittsburgh Steelers? We'll look at his comments, we'll check him out, and we'll try to discuss that here in a minute. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button, ring that notification bell. That way you're notified of all our content. With that being said, I'm Daniel J. This is State of the Steelers, and welcome to the Hub. Kenny Pickett was on as a guest on a Cam Heyward podcast, not just football, here recently. And in that podcast, they spoke about, Kenny's NFL moment. Welcome to the NFL moment. They talk about his, time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, his pre-draft during the season, and in one question or one segment of the podcast, Cam Heyward asks, about his relationship with Mike Tomlin and Matt Canada. He talked about Matt Canada and stated, he'd run through a wall, speech usual that everybody hears from, players that are from Mike Tomlin. And then he talked about Matt Canada and maybe perhaps he kind of gave us an insight to what the Pittsburgh Steelers plan to do with their signal caller. Let's check it out.
And keeps things different. I think we really caught stride after that bye week, man, and we figured out what it's going to take for us to win and what that recipe looks like. So we continue to grow as a team and grow as an offense. But we just need to take that jump into year two. We need more explosive plays, and he's doing a great job of trying to figure out what we need to do to get those and put up some more points. So I'm excited to continue to work with him this offseason.
So he's excited to continue to work with Matt Canada this offseason. Kind of putting to bed some speculation out there that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to move on from Matt Canada. I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers is a top-class organization that if they were looking at other directions for possibility at somebody who is better at at a certain position, that they would have released Matt Canada just as quickly as the season ended. I'm aware he said that they may move slower than other organizations, and that's giving people a little bit of hope that he's going to get canned. I just don't see that would have been over a week. And so, is it possible still? Yeah, maybe Kenny Pickett's just saying just saying this to show, just in case he does stay. And so there's that possibility. But, what wasn't said or aired down here that was in that podcast is Kenny Pickett talks about his interaction with Matt Canada. He stated that he didn't have much of an interaction because he was a backup quarterback throughout the beginning portion of the season. That his interaction with Canada only came once he became the starter. And that way, and it's because the offensive coordinator is going to be talking with the starting quarterback, trying to figure out, what his likes are, dislikes, rating plays, things of that nature. And Kenny Pickett goes into those things as far as what Matt Canada does, ranking the plays, and et cetera, like I just mentioned. He said he didn't have that communication with him until he became a starter. And when he became a starter, that was the most daunting portion of the season. I'm not surprised that the Pittsburgh Steelers decided to keep it simple during that stride or those 4-game gauntlet that was the Buffalo Bills, the Tampa Bay defense, and the team that was on the, still had a winning season at the point when the Pittsburgh Steelers played them. The Miami Dolphins, who were a hot team streaking as well, and the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that is still on the rise and a possible Super Bowl participant. And so, I think that the option or the goal there in that situation was probably to keep it simple, keep the playbook small, just so that they don't expose their young rookie quarterback who hadn't had any experience or much reps with the first team. He also talks about that. He states that he didn't have much time with Deontay or Pat Freiermuth. He states that his chemistry throughout the preseason and training camp and throughout the regular season to the point where he became the starter was with George Pickens and Connor Heyward. And he alludes that that's why the connection there was a little bit better with those guys than perhaps maybe Deontay Johnson or Pat Freiermuth. Although towards the end of the season, I think that those connections started to connect fairly well. And so, like I mentioned before, this team had to uproot, quarter way into the season with a new quarterback. Things needed to change. I think we saw the progression of the running game as the season continued. I think we'll see the passing game catch up to the running game here pretty soon. I'm super excited about this team and the trajectory that they're going. I understand everybody's upset that they want Canada out, but there's also the possibility that Coach Tomlin limited Canada based on the inexperience of his players on the field. He may have told them, hey, I understand you want to open up the playbook, but what we're going to do is we're going to manage our team and their expectations and their abilities until they catch up to the playbook. Because if you put out a team out there that doesn't know what they're doing, they're on the wrong page, you end up getting a lot of interceptions and turnovers and things of that nature. And so, there's more to this game than just, the offensive coordinator calling it a play. And then, that play being run, executed as that call was placed. I mean, there's adjustments that need to be made at the line, depending on where the defense is lined up and how they lined up on receivers and what the quarterback sees as far as the coverage and things of that nature could dictate different routes or optional routes. Maybe a receiver has 3 different route options. If the quarterback and the receiver are not on the same page and the receiver runs route 1, the quarterback thinks he's running route 3, that could turn into a pick 6. And so you got to limit those things. You got to make it simple so that way you don't expose those young players. And I think that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers were doing. As Kenny Pickett said, after the bye week, this team started to open it up a little bit more. They started to get more comfortable. It started moving in the right direction. I like the way they're moving. I think that this is going to be a team that's going to be contending. I think this is going to be a team that's going to be able to hold on to the ball, close out games, and put the ball in the end zone this upcoming season. And that's the next step. If the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to score more touchdowns and field goals, then this team, would have been scoring that 28, 20, 30 points per game. But the problem is they were scoring they had so many field goal attempts. It's just the next step. Having a complete off season with Kenny Pickett as a starting quarterback and knowing he's going to be the starting quarterback going in. A complete off season in training camp with his offensive coordinator, who he stated in this in this podcast that he's familiar with the offense. He understands the majority of it. He talks about the fact that Matt Canada had recruited him, but 2 weeks prior to him arriving, Canada left for LSU. Now, what he said also was that Canada's replacement kept a lot of Canada's offense. And so he's familiar with it. He's catching up. The guys around him are catching up. We have to remember that majority of the guys around Kenny Pickett are very young too, and they're learning this offense together. It's not like a situation for Brock Purdy, who's in the 49ers, where, yeah, he's a rookie quarterback and he's coming in and he's doing well, but everybody around him knows what they're supposed to be doing. And so that's a big piece of this equation. It's not just the quarterback knowing, it's the other players also knowing what they're supposed to be doing and together moving in the right direction. And so, I for one think that if we put Kenny Pickett in Brock Purdy's situation with those weapons that are already familiar with the offense, I think he does something very similar, if not better. I don't think Brock Purdy would be having the success that he has with the 49ers with this team at this time. Because you have to remember, this Pittsburgh Steelers are still a very talented team. They just need to start clicking. A clear example was the running game. You had Najee Harris sometimes missing holes earlier this season. Yeah, he was hurt. Yeah, he missed time throughout the development portion of the game or the season in training camp. But there were still holes. His vision was not so much not there, but perhaps he had to learn the new pieces in the offensive line where they like to push their strengths, where the cutback runs are going to be. Those things took time and chemistry to build. The fact that Najee Harris missed so much time during training camp and preseason could be the reason why he struggled so much when he first started. He was just trying to figure out the offensive line and build that chemistry. The same can be said for any position out here, especially in the biggest one, which is the quarterback position. They run the offense. And so if you have an inexperienced guy, I'm not surprised that they're doing keep it simple stuff. It's an acronym. The last S usually isn't stuff. But, at the end of the day, this team, the way they're operating and the way that the time of possession that they've had, in the second half of the season, is going to limit the opportunities for both teams to score points. If you're only having 7, 8 opportunities to put up, drives, because every time you have the ball, you're driving the ball for 7, 8 minutes, that's going to limit the amount of opportunities that you have to score big points, but it's also going to limit the opposition from scoring big points. And you'll be able to, still win out the games in the manner that the Pittsburgh Steelers were winning out the games. Is it a little bit of a cardiac feeling? Sure it is. But you know what? At the end of the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers are winning and they're moving in the right direction. I think this is a 10-plus win team next season. It could be even higher. I can, depending on how the Pittsburgh Steelers go in free agency and the draft, which I think they have set themselves up fairly well, this could definitely be a team that's going to be contending for that 7th Lombardi this upcoming season. And I, for one, am looking forward to that. Regardless of who's coaching the team, that's not going to deter my fandom and my thoughts that this team is on the rise. With that being said, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button, ring that notification bell. You know what to do. I'm Daniel J. This is Stay the Steelers. Peace.